I'm Catherine Goshen, a professional astrologer, and this is the Sagittarius forecast for 2025. Welcome back, welcome here for the first time to Sagittarius Sun and Rising. When I do give a date of a new or full moon, take it down either side. It depends on where you are in the world because we're all in different time zones. And finally, relax, sit back, enjoy. There'll be an overview and then we'll go month by month so you can follow it throughout the year. So Sagittarius, the year begins for you with your ruling planet Jupiter still in the sign of Gemini, and it's going to be there all the way until June 10th of 2025. Jupiter in Gemini is your solar area of partnerships. Perhaps some of you have met that special person and you're deciding to settle down, settle in together. There's some kind of joyful commitment. If you're in a relationship, your partner may have been going through a lot this year, a lot of changes, a lot of studies, a lot of extra work, taking on new things. So it's been part of your job to support them. And for those of you who are single, this transit of Jupiter through Gemini could really have been forcing you to expand and to put a whole lot of things in your life into question, in particular, the way in which you overdo things. Because we know that you are the bountiful planet of the zodiac. You are expansive, you are interested in justice and in joy, and sometimes there is too much doing, too much generosity, helping others, to the point where you get to feel depleted. And this Jupiter through Gemini transit for you, Sagittarius, is going to help you to see where you can possibly pull your energy a little bit back from the partner, back from the outer world, back from overdoing, and focus a little bit more on what you need to retain your own joy. Then in the middle part of the year, from June all the way until July of 2026, there's an emphasis on greater abundance. If you are married or in a live-in partnership, we could see that partner's finances increase, become more abundant. If you're single, there may simply be something to do with finances that benefits you. The other thing we could be looking at, Sagittarius, for that mid-2025 to mid-2026 period is taking some time to really nurture yourself in a way that you haven't done for many years. Jupiter was last in Cancer more than a decade ago, and if you look back, you'll see that you haven't spent enough time over the last few years really taking care of your needs. So your ruling planet will demand that from the middle of the year onwards, and I'm hoping that you will listen to it and either book a holiday or book some self-care. The other planet that we need to talk about will be Mars, our action planet, which shows us where the most activity of our life is going to be. And Mars usually whizzes through the signs, one per month, so we get different things going on in our lives. But from late December of 2024 all the way to late February, you're going to be working on issues that have to do with joint finances, but also good themes, travel, expansion, studies. You want to broaden your horizons. You're feeling this need to get out and get active. This is going to be a theme that continues all the way until May of 2025, because Mars will be retrograding and then moving forward through the same area of the zodiac, asking you to learn something about this period. What needs to be understood about money, resources, or values that you share with someone else? Maybe it's someone you work with, but there's something going on there that's going to come to the light. It may only be resolved in April, even if it started way back in November or December of 2024. Secondly, travel, expansion, learning something new, going abroad. This area wants to manifest in your life. Uranus is another planet that we need to talk about. You've had Uranus for many years in your house of health and daily routines. There's not been much consistency. Just when you feel you're getting to grips with things, everything changes. Children come and go, family members come and go, siblings need you, then they don't. Then there's a parent that's in need, then etc., etc. And many of you have been going through this. That's going to continue for the first 6 months of 2025. So I ask you to please relax. What can you do? Things are going to come and go in the home, unexpected needs, and one just has to be patient and accept them. After July, Uranus is going to move into Gemini, which is your house of partnerships. And it will be there all the way until November, dip back into that house of routines. And then from April 2026, all the way until 2033, it's going to be in that house of partnerships. What can that mean for you, Sagittarius, in a very general way? Bearing in mind this is a general forecast. It can mean lots of changes for your partner. It can mean lots of changes for you, needing to have a deeper sense of authenticity, needing to have a deeper sense of freedom. What does it mean to you to be free? How can you attain that freedom? Is that freedom something inner and spiritual that you receive from yourself, or do you give your power to someone else? So those kind of issues may come up over the next decade or so. The other planet we need to talk about is Saturn. Saturn, our planet of responsibility, our planet of karma, our planet of hard work, ambition, and getting ahead in life. Since March of 2023, Saturn has been in an area of your chart where it's been forcing you to grow, forcing you to change, and not all of it has been pleasant. There have been a lot of obstacles to overcome, and it can have that feeling as if life is limited in some way and you need to push through a brick wall in order to get through something, whether it's the day or a difficult family situation or something going on at your job, regardless. Now that energy continues for part of 2025, and it's important because the 2-year growth period in which Saturn has been in Pisces has been so important to you, Sagittarius. It's taken you to a deeper understanding of yourself. In particular, there's been some issues with close family because Saturn is traveling through the solar house of the home. And whatever lessons that you've learned or are still learning during this time are priceless. We cannot evolve unless we learn the lessons of Saturn. So the timing is the following. Saturn will be in Pisces until May. End of May 2025. Then it's going to move into Aries, May till September. And there will be some kind of a relief for you. It's moving into an easier place in your chart, into a fire sign. So there will be a flow of energy. Then in September, it will dip back into that area of the home and will be there until February of 2026. And from then, it's going to stay in the fire sign of Aries all the way through to the spring of 2028. So to make it simple, we think about it in the following way. Whatever issues you've been dealing with in the home, with the family, since March of 2023, they're going to continue until May or June of 25. Then you're going to have a break, and then they may raise their heads again to be finally worked through from September until February of 2026. And hopefully by that time you will have learnt and shouldered the lessons of Saturn and can move on joyfully, starting a new cycle where there is greater ease and possibly a little bit less responsibility to carry. In a similar vein, Neptune, our planet of water, the ocean, creativity, dreams, and also illusion and addiction, is going to finally move out of Pisces. But again, it's a gradual transition. It's going to be moving into Aries, and it's the same transition for you. So for all of you Sagittarius, there is going to be a shift, but again, it will be gradual. You'll feel it at the end of March, early April, and you'll feel it again later on in the year. And the only light-hearted thing I can say about Neptune is that if you've had a lot of water issues in your life for the last few years, plumbing, flooding, you name it, leaks, swimming pool issues, the list is endless. Hopefully those are going to lessen as 2026 gets underway and Neptune finally moves out of Pisces, where it's your home. So this is a general forecast, but I'm saying it because Neptune has been sitting in that home area for a long time for you. And the other shift that I see happening for you, Sagittarius, is increased creativity after the end of this year, because there's an ability to structure whatever you're doing. So if you are a musician, for example, Saturn and Neptune both moving into your house of creativity, and they're going to be there for a long time after 2026. They can help you to structure your dreams, structure your creativity. January begins looking very relaxed. The first 6 days are a time to chill out. I hope you don't have to work. Take it easy. It looks as if a lot of the pressures of the year are off your plate, and I really encourage it. After the 6th, the 7th of January, things start to get serious again. Issues that came up for you in September and October of 2024 are going to raise their heads again, and you're going to need to deal with them in January, February, and March of 2025. So don't be afraid. You know the duration, and these are things that need to be healed or need to come up to be seen. Maybe it's with a family member, maybe it's a financial thing. It could be something very small, but nevertheless it needs to be dealt with, and you will deal with it. Your ruling planet Jupiter is also retrograde as the year gets underway, so it's a good month for reflection. You can work hard, but I would not initiate anything new during this time. With several planets retrograde, and there's a kind of a slow energy to the beginning of the year. The focus on finances that we mentioned in the introduction is very valid in January too, because there's activity especially in the house of joint finances. And this is highlighted at the full moon on the 13th. There's a full moon in that area of your chart. So what needs to come to fruition there? What needs to be seen? And January ends off with a beautiful new moon in the house of siblings and community, neighborhood for you. The one caveat with this new moon is that it is connected to the planet of transformation. So if you've been having difficulties or challenges with a sibling, this could be the time to reset and to heal. And if there is something going on in your neighborhood, maybe some difficulties with neighbors, power issues, control issues, or challenges in school with learning, this new moon offers a beautiful opportunity to reset, to forgive, to clear the air, and to start again. And as we know, some things are very, very challenging. We can't just shove them under the carpet and start again. So this new moon may give you the confidence to really let something go and surrender it to a greater power. February sees this continuation of these two areas in your life being activated. The one is brothers, sisters, neighborhood. It could also be referring to your car. Maybe there are things going on there because there's a whole grouping of planets in that house that is asking for your attention. Maybe you're leasing a new car. Whatever the case, I wish you luck with that. And if you need to focus on a brother or sister, maybe they're coming to stay, maybe you're having a good time with them, maybe you need to help them out, maybe there's a lot of healing to be done. Whatever the case, give it that time. The energy's there. The second area which is active is the home. Maybe you're renovating, maybe you're fixing something, maybe people are coming to stay with you, friends, family members, a parent could also be highlighted at this time. You've got no less than 3 planets in that house really calling attention. Something like structural issues could come up to be addressed in your life. Also, you may be experiencing the tension between home and work at this time. Where do you place your energies? And you wish you could be spending more time at home, but work is pulling you. This emphasis on the home becomes even more pronounced after the 18th, when the sun will enter into that area, shining a light on whatever needs to be seen there. We do have a beautiful full moon, which is going to take place in that area to do with travel, expansion, and this is your guiding light. Maybe you're a lecturer, maybe you travel in your mind every day with your students, taking them to new places. This is really an interesting full moon. It will be on the 12th of February, give or take a day on either side. And it's hooking up with that planet of change, Uranus. So what do you need to see at that full moon? Do you need to see that life is not static, that things are changing all the time? Be very patient with your spouse or your partner at this time. They may be going through major changes and they need your support. Whatever the case, I'm encouraging flexibility at that time and also relaxation. The full moon is trine your sun, Sagittarius, sending you energy, sending you joy. Leo is a time of celebration, so try to have something fun coming into your life at that time, and don't allow yourself to get bogged down by issues that may be taking place on the side. You're also going to have an interesting reset at the new moon, which will be right at the end of the month in Pisces. That's again in the solar house of the home. So you can see how deeply the area of the home is being emphasized. And remember, in astrology, the home is also a parent. It's also, this particular area is endings and beginnings. Sometimes we need to let go of something in order for something new to begin. And I see you working on this area, trying to understand something and learning it. It's a great time to set new intentions for what you wish your home environment to be like over the next year. March is an action-packed month, Sagittarius. There is so much going on, and most of the focus is on the house of children, creativity, romance, speculation, pleasures, relaxation, and so on. So only you will know what's going on there. But what's interesting about this month is that the entire month, Venus, our planet of love, money, beauty, will be retrograde. We are not encouraged to start a new romance, to buy new clothes, to invest in any new financial endeavors. So take care, and this is in particular for you, Sagittarius, because that is the house in your chart that the eclipses are taking place and Venus is retrograding. It is this house of romance. It is this house of love. And bear in mind, we're not talking about people who are married here or who are in a long-term committed partnership. We're talking about new romances. In other words, it's a very delicate time to start a new romance. On the 14th, we're going to have the first eclipse of the year, and that will be a lunar eclipse in your house of work. So the lunar eclipse is in Virgo, and there's something that needs to be seen for you. It could be even the fact that you're not working, or that lack of a job. Maybe you've been looking for work for months and it's really so disheartening that you haven't found a job yet. This could really come up now. But the good thing is that because it's at the full moon, the lunar eclipse could possibly bring something to fruition, and after the eclipse is over, that job may arrive for you. That promotion may arrive. Something might come up to be seen. Eclipses are only bone rattling when we're not living our lives according to truth, to honesty, and we're not doing the best that we can. So make sure your house is in order before March, because this is going to be a time where anything that has been less than legal or honest could come up into the light. The solar eclipse in Aries, which is going to be in that house of children or pleasures, your romantic house, is going to take place on the 29th, right at the end of the month. And you'll feel that area being more emphasized from the 21st of March onwards, because the sun is going to enter into that house, shining light there and seeing what needs to be taken care of. If neither of these things resonate with you, we may be talking about a creative project, such as a book you're writing. Are you an author? Do you have a deadline? Do you have to get something out? This will be a great month to really sit down and work on it. And after that solar eclipse, we're also going to have Neptune's change from Pisces into Aries. Now remember, this is not something that just happens in an hour or two. Neptune is a very slow moving planet, and we're going to feel it all of that week. But I would advise you for the 29th, for the 30th of March, 1st of April, take it easy. There are strong energies about, energies for transition, all the more so because Mercury will also be retrograde from the 15th of the month, slowing everything down. Sometimes communication can become confusing, emails that cross, mixed messages, all these kinds of things can happen. And how we want to use this retrograde energy is to heal relationships, to see old friends, to catch up with our work and not to stress. So try to keep your plate as empty as possible during the second half of the month, and this will ease the flow of life during the retrograde period. Sagittarius, April is a positive month. The energy moves forward. There's joy, there's life. Such a good time, especially after the 7th, when Mercury moves direct. Things really start to sort themselves out in that house of children, romance, pleasures, relaxation. We've also got a build-up happening then towards the full moon, which is going to be on the 13th. And it's going to take place in a very positive place. House of friends, house of hopes, house of dreams. What are you planning at that time? What has come to fruition? Have you also managed to meet your goals in terms of what you want to earn from work? Because this is really, really highlighted now. Maybe that salary increase is coming in, or something which you set your mind to a year ago has really reached full term. Then straight after that full moon, in that house of friendships, it could also be a group that you belong to or a clinic that you're associated with, something good there. Venus will station direct straight afterwards. So we need to transition into that. And once Venus starts to pick up speed, a lot of the issues that you may have been having, especially in terms of interpersonal relationships, they begin to resolve themselves. Now that romance can be initiated with confidence, and you can begin to really see what you've learned. Maybe a child has come back home. Maybe you've healed something with a sibling, with a partner, with a romantic partner. And really there's a good energy about. We also have a special day on the 17th, just for those of you who are in business or like to promote your business on social media. That's a great day to get your message out. Be sure that you're clear and confident, and the world will hear the message. There's also a good positive shift after the 19th, when Mars will finally leave that area that has to do with joint finances that we spoke so much about earlier on. It's moving back into the place of expansion, of travel, of broadening the mind. If you're not traveling, you could be thinking about doing a postdoctorate degree. You could be thinking about doing a postgraduate degree. You could also be thinking about joining some kind of religious or spiritual organization, which also comes under this area. Whatever the case, things that were taking place in November of last year are now going to come up for review, and you're going to finally feel as if they are moving forward. The new moon will take place on the 27th of the month, and it's going to be in your house of health and routines. So always a good time, end of April, check in, do your annual checkup, make sure that your exercise regime is on track. Sagittarius, you need to exercise. If you're not active, this new moon is going to help you to start a new leaf. Please, a tiny bit of exercise every day, just 10 minutes, can change your life. The month of May seems to offer a good balance between inner and outer events. Having some time to yourself, which is much needed, but also getting out there, being with others, being social. And what I'm loving about May for you, Sagittarius, is Venus is looking really good in Aries. She's moving forward. She's trining your sun. So once again, there's that positive flow. You're feeling good. You also have an emphasis on those health routines that we spoke about for last month. It now looks as though they're being established. The sun has moved into that area of your chart. Really calling attention to that daily morning practice, or even if it's twice a week, whatever you've committed to exercise-wise, it's on track now. And the sun in Taurus will help you to establish and to keep and maintain that exercise routine, the healthy eating routine, and whatever you need to keep you going. We do have a full moon on the 12th of the month, and that's in a private place for you. So if things do come up that are deep, that are personal, take a moment. It's fine. Go into the bedroom, close the door, or even take a moment away from home, whatever works for you. Always a good time to process when the moon is in Scorpio. And for you, it's your solar 12th house. So you want to take extra time for reflection, for journaling, for whatever you do that you feel as if you have space. The rest of the month flows by. There's not that much change. You might be feeling that something is really coming to fruition with that area of studies or connecting with people overseas, because Mars has been in that area for a long time now and it's preparing to finish off its cycle. And then near the end of the month, we have two important happenings. On the 26th, Saturn is going to switch signs, and we spoke about that in the overview. Saturn will be moving from the house of your home to the house of your pleasures, your children. And that switch is going to be felt, especially because the day afterwards, on the 27th, there is a new moon in your house of relationships. If you're not in a relationship, it can be about me and you. How do I relate to the other? And if the other isn't there, what is coming up to be seen about the fact that I am not in a relationship? Maybe I'm affirming my choice. Maybe I'm going to decide to make another choice. So be very sensitive to that. And for some people, the other is not a love partner. The other could be a parent they live with. It could be a grown child that they're dealing with. It could be a business associate. So that new moon is asking you to set new patterns in terms of partnership. And it's going to be a couple of days of adjustment. Take it easy. Saturn, our planet that rules gravity and materialism, switching signs. We may feel heavy in the body. Even for that week leading up, we could feel heavy. That's okay. It's going to pass. Everything passes. Everything changes. Just like the planets are continuously cycling in the heavens, the good passes, the bad passes, and what can seem so critical at some point in your life, years later, it's as if it seems so light. We haven't spoken much about work, Sagittarius, but I see a definite shift in June with regards to work. Around the 18th, Action Planet is finally going to move into that house of work. So there's going to be a change for you there. Maybe you're finishing off a job. Maybe you're returning to a job, but you're going to feel a huge sense of relief because something you've been working on for a long time is finally shifting. And earlier in the month, we've got that magnificent move of your ruling planet into the sign of Cancer. It's a water sign. It can bring abundance. It can bring growth. You understand this principle of growth because your ruling planet Jupiter is about growth. And when it moves into the sign of Cancer, there's going to be a lot of growth. As we mentioned earlier, your partner's finances might improve. You might come into some money of your own. You might decide to go deeper into your own understanding, your own psychology. Some kind of healing is going to come up for you. Whatever the case, it looks like a really positive shift that happens around the 10th of June. And remember, Jupiter is an enormous body and it takes a long time for its energies to be felt. Straight after that movement of Jupiter, we're going to have a full moon, and it's your full moon, Sagittarius. So on June 11, put your party hat on and celebrate. What are you bringing to fruition? You planted the seeds 6 months ago. We spoke about the shift after the 18th. Work comes in the spotlight. And then on the 25th, we have a new moon. And that will take place for you again in that same area where Jupiter is now. So when Jupiter and the moon come together, there can be an abundance. It can be a feeling of generosity, a feeling of goodness. And the final thing I want to mention about June, which is not specific to June itself, but which you will really be feeling around about this time of the year, is the fact that Saturn and Neptune are now together in this 5th house for you, your 5th solar house. You're going to feel that energy. They're both in fire signs. Think of Saturn as the glue that is connecting Neptune, the dreams. How can you, over the next 2 to 3 years, bring your dreams to fruition? How can you really get those creative projects out so that they make an impact on your audience? Saturn and Neptune in this house is going to help you to do that. But you have to provide the fire, because it may be just too easy that you're going to sit back and relax and expect everything to happen, and that won't work with the Saturn-Neptune combination. That combination needs you to push the dream forward and to cement it so that it can become a reality. July is a busy month, Sagittarius. If you are still working and not taking a summer holiday, it's going to be a productive time. You will have the action planet all month in that area, giving you the drive to do well at work, to get the work done, or it could be indicating that there's something to do with a parent that is in the spotlight. The most important astrological event of July is the changing of signs by Uranus. Around the 8th, it's going to leave Taurus and move into Gemini. It will be there for a few months, dip back into Taurus, and then in 2026, firmly in Gemini until 2033. So this time, this week in early July is important. Sagittarius, I want you to take note of what you're doing. The 7th, the 8th, the 9th. Post me a comment or put it in your personal journal. Uranus moves into Gemini, hooks up with Venus. There's an intensity there. It's happening in your house of relationships. Are you falling in love? Is it a new romance? What's going on? How are you going to use that energy? Just make sure you're prepared for the intensity of this energy that will be around for the month. You don't want to waste it in arguments or in dissipation of a solid relationship that you do have. And this intensity will be felt even more so because the moon is waxing to full, and that full moon will be on the 10th. So it's going to take place in your house of values, resources. So be aware of that and make sure you monitor your emotions and you keep things calm. It's not a time to fly off the handle. 2 days after that, on the 12th, Saturn is going to change direction. So we want to have a day of adjustment. We may feel heavy. We don't need to pile our calendar so full that it's too much for us to deal with. What else is important for July is that there will be the 2nd Mercury retrograde period of the year from the 18th. That's taking place in a good area of your chart. So I see you being able to accomplish a lot. Try to connect with old friends as always. Try to redo whatever needs redoing in your life, those small things that you never get to, clear the desk. All these kinds of tasks are very, very productive during a retrograde period. Maybe someone's returning back to the home, returning to work. Maybe you are returning to a foreign place that you visited long ago and you've been drawn to and you're going back. That would be very apt. Or you're going back to school, you're going back to college to get a 2nd degree. Whatever the case, I wish you the best of luck with that. And the final thing of note for July is that on the 24th, there will be a new moon in that area of your chart to do with education, to do with travel. So that's a really good time either to set off on your journey, to send in your application to study, or to make your plans for that upcoming trip. August is a mixed bag, Sagittarius, because the first few days start off with exactly the same energy as July. Around the 7th, there's a shift where the emphasis moves from work more towards a smaller group setting. Maybe you gathering with a group. August is a good time for that. Maybe you starting a new job in a small group setting. Maybe you are focusing on the rewards or accolades that you have received from work. Some of you may get a bonus at this time. Apply this to your life. You could also be gathering with a group of friends to go on a journey. Or you may be realizing your dreams. One of those goals that you set at the beginning of the year are now starting to come to fruition. It can be a very positive month for that. On the 9th, the full moon that's taking place in your house of siblings and communication, it's going to reflect back. Do you remember that new moon that was at the end of January when we spoke about transformation or something very important happening with a family member or in your neighborhood? That's now going to come up, and hopefully some kind of healing has taken place. Whatever the case, this is an important full moon for you. Make sure your communication is clear at this time. Make sure that anything you're studying is absolutely up to date. All your essays, all your set workbooks, whatever kind of work you're doing, engineering projects, you name it, make sure they're in, because this full moon is going to highlight that area, education, siblings, neighbors, and you want to make sure that everything is in order when the light of the full moon is shone on it, especially because you have Pluto hanging out in that area of your chart. On the 22nd of August, the sun will move into our house of work, followed the day after by a new moon there. So this is now a good time to initiate projects at home, to start afresh with any relationship such as a parent, and simply to remember that this is always a good time to start afresh anytime at the new moon. Around the 26th of the month, we have Venus, the planet of beauty, small pleasures, entering your house of education and travel, maybe bringing some perks there. So enjoy that, because when Venus is in a fire sign, she's also going to be bringing good energy to your sun, to your ascendant, bringing vitality, and you should start to feel really good at this time. September is a good time for business practices, for things moving forward at work, for getting things done. You've got Mercury, the planet of communication, in a very good place. It's wanting to work for you, wanting to get things done. And that's between the 3rd and the 18th of the month. So use that chunk of time in September well. It's back to school. If you're a teacher or a lecturer, it's going to be a very productive time. If you're a student, it's going to be a very good time. Get everything organized. Shop for new hardware, shop for new cell phones, whatever you need, new books. It's a good time to buy a car as well. Use the planetary energy, and wishing you all success if you are going back to school. The other thing that we're seeing for September is lunar eclipse and solar eclipse again. It's eclipse season. So on the 7th, there'll be that lunar eclipse at the full moon. And for you, that will take place in the house of the home again. So roots, family, home. What is asking to come into the light then? Remember, with eclipses, no big decisions are recommended the week before the eclipse. Wait until they have run their course and more information comes to light and things are clearer for you and you can move forward. On the 20th of the month, Venus is going to move into your house of work. I hope she's bringing a bit more money in. And the day after, there will be the solar eclipse. And that solar eclipse, it's very interesting because it's the second new moon in Virgo. And if you recall, last month you had a new moon in Virgo in your house of work. So something's being highlighted at work, something that you need to begin, that you need to see, and that is wanting to be initiated. Pay attention to that. The final event that we need to mention in September is the movement of Action Planet out of the house of groups, out of the house of friends, and into a more quiet place of your chart. So I see you taking the end of September and October in part to refresh yourself, Sagittarius. You might find yourself going out less, being a little bit more introspective, and that's good because Mars is now in your 12th solar house. That's a time of being quiet, seeing what comes up for you, and I like to think of it as a time of refreshing the soul so that when you do come to your birthday season, you're ready to go out. Much of October is quiet, especially because of this introspective phase. There is also just a reminder that Saturn has now slipped back into the area of the home. So if you do have any renovation projects, anything that's going on structurally, you've got until February of 2026 to finish it off. And you want to do so because you're probably going to start a whole new cycle in 2026. Maybe you're moving, maybe you're selling the house, maybe new people are coming into your home, maybe you're expecting a baby, who knows, but now is the time for completion. There will be a full moon in the house of children on the 6th of October, and that's a very good energy. It's trining your sun, you're feeling positive, and you want to do something creative. Let's say children are not on the agenda or not in your life. Go out there, do something wonderful. You know, cooking a meal can be creative for those of you who say, well, just not a creative person. But engage in life, and fire is inspirational. So take that energy of that full moon and do something that inspires your life. If you've got into the doldrums, you're not feeling great about things, go out there and make something happen. The other energy for October is on the 14th, Venus will move into a place where she's very, very comfortable and can bring things about. So if you are looking for love, if you're single, and this is your deepest need, go out there. It's a great time. Put yourself out there, because even though you're in a private place, we don't necessarily have to be the life and soul of the party in order to find the right partner. You can meet someone on the train, you can meet them in the supermarket, you can meet them at the car wash. So know that for the next month or so, Venus is very strong, and it's a good time for romantic engagements. The new moon will be on the 21st. That's in your house of friendships, so enjoy them. And on the 23rd, we're going to have the sun move into Scorpio. And for you, Sagittarius, that also represents a quieter time before your birthday. Time to refresh, time to reflect, time to prepare for your birthday month. So November begins with Mercury, our communication planet, moving into your sign. You should be feeling good. As we know, Sagittarius are very outspoken, and this is often because they have Mercury in their sign. When Mercury is traveling through Sagittarius, the word is out. You say it like it is, and you like to speak for truth. Now, when Mercury enters into Sagittarius, she's going to be traveling through your ascendant, feeling good for the first part of the month. Then on the 9th, Mercury will have the final retrograde period of the year, and it's going to be short and sweet. So from the 9th until the 29th, we'll have that communication reset. We'll have to look at things again. We'll take it easy and revisit whatever is going on in our lives. For you, it's going to be between your identity, your first house, and that quiet place in your chart, the 12th house, that you're being asked to re-examine things and to look at communications more clearly, more carefully. The other happenings for November are the full moon, close to the beginning of the month, around the 5th. It's going to be taking place in your house of health. So I'm hoping that all the hard work you've been putting in for the last 6 months has now come to fruition. You're feeling good, you're looking good, and it's a really fabulous time for you. The other thing that happens on that same day as the full moon is the action planet is going to move into your sign. So another signal that you are filled with vitality at this time, and you can move forward with energy. You know, Mars is going to be contacting either your sun or your rising sign. So feel good about that. The other important day in November is the 7th, when your ruling planet will station retrograde. Now, this is not such a big deal because it happens every year for many months. The only thing that's important is taking a day of adjustment on that day, on either side of that day, because it is a transition. It's a huge body, Jupiter, and it's changing directions as seen from Earth. So it looks almost as if Jupiter is suspended in the sky for that week. Be aware of that. If you're feeling a little lethargic, take this into account. What else we're seeing in November is a new moon in Scorpio. So that will be on the 20th, and it's going to be in your quiet place. More time for reflection, more time for journaling, more time for setting your intentions on the deeper things of life. We spoke about Mercury's movement. So the most important thing we need to say is happy birthday on the 22nd of November, which is when the sun is going to move into Sagittarius and will be there for the next 3 to 4 weeks. So wishing you a wonderful birthday and a wonderful year ahead. And if Sagittarius is your rising sign, this also brings you energy from the 22nd of November onwards, because the sun is coming into your first house, bringing vitality, bringing light, bringing life. And December looks very good because Mercury is now moving forward. You're picking up speed, but you're also having time for reflection. I see this as a positive review. All those outer planets have now slipped back into the signs they were in at the beginning of the year. So we've got Saturn and Neptune back in your home. We've got Uranus back in the house of routines and health. And we've got Jupiter still in Cancer though. Jupiter is not going back. She is staying firmly in that water sign, which represents a lot of growth. So I do see you reviewing things and taking stock of what has been learned, because you know that when 2026 gets underway, some of those experiences from the middle of the year are going to then be able to manifest. So be ready for them. The other thing we have is a full moon in Gemini on the 4th of the month. This is your house of partnerships. So a wonderful time to celebrate with a partner. May things go well for you. I hope that this is a beautiful time, a time of joy. There's also a move of Mars into the house of finances. This will take place on the 16th of December, and the only caution is not to overspend for the holidays. You will be helped because Venus, planet of money and love, is going to also move into that house of resources on the 24th of December. So it looks like a very generous time. It looks like a warm-hearted time. And I wish you all the very best for the holidays, for the season, and for the year ahead. If you found anything helpful in this forecast, please like and subscribe. And I will see you next time.